Well, visually, very impressive. Set designs, costumes, special effects are much sharper and cleaner than Wheel of Time. CGI still looks a little weird in place, and the focus is a little bit all over. The one consistency here is Galadriel. We do see Galadriel quite a few times. There is opening narration too, by someone I can only describe as basically Elijah Wood. Why this Elijah Wood hobbit? I don't know, but he's here. And we don't have any revelation of Sauron, and I think that's Halbrand who's being tossed about in that flood. But in terms of context, it's still a little fuzzy. Some people are guessing, and I want to stress guess, that we do see Numenor, and that's clearly in one of the images. I'm a little skeptical, because at this point, Pharazôn should be a sort of humble king. He's very popular, so unless they're really speeding up the narrative, I would think it'd be a little bit out of place for him to already be erecting statues to himself. Again, Pharazôn became corrupted only slowly through Sauron, but again, as long as they don't disrupt the major canon, they can make some amendations to what we know from the story. But aside from Galadriel, we just get more shots of some of the cast and crew who we've been introduced with already. But what they're doing, what their role is, unclear. Who are they fighting? Why are they fighting? So it does have the J.J. Abrams style, and it's not its worst, but some of its excesses and exaggerations, like Rise of Skywalker, a constantly moving camera, a lot of running and jumping, slow motion, a lot of techniques, a lot of style, but the substance could be a little bit all over the place. Now, I myself still like The Force Awakens. I think it's a solid film, but I think no one would deny it has issues or problems. But that's meant to be a very kinetic narrative. This, though, is supposed to be much more of a slow, epic story, and we're not seeing that yet because, again, aside from the opening narration, there's no dialogue. I would say there's some added details to go through. With Galadriel, it appears she's in Halcraxe. Again, this is not well known to most people, but Halcraxe is sort of this icy wasteland that's critical to the story. There's not much dramatic tension, though, because we know she survives, though presumably she's facing a lot of challenges. But that's apparently that icy region we see her in. We're speculating. So we have Halcraxe, we have Numenor, but beyond that, yeah, it's very generic. I found it interesting that there's a lot of callbacks to the Jackson films in terms of the music, the sweeping landscapes, so a lot of visual homages to the Jackson style. But in terms of the comments, it's getting a lot of negative reception from people who didn't like it, saying it doesn't match up to the Jackson films or looks too much like The Hobbit. I guess by this we mean digital effects. It looks too much like CGI. It should look more gritty and realistic. And I don't know if that makes sense with the lore. This isn't the same period. It's not supposed to be the same style either. Again, depending on what they're looking at or framing, it may be we're seeing Numenor at the height of its powers. So it should look magical. It should look clean. It does have a lot of likes, but now that the dislikes have been discontinued, it's hard to tell what the ratio is in terms of people who like this or didn't like this. But people are very negative, people are very positive, and then you have people in the middle saying, well, I'm going to wait and see. But visually, I think it's very amazing. They clearly put a lot of more effort and time here than Wheel of Time. That definitely stands out. This looks a lot better than Wheel of Time. It does look a lot more thorough. I don't sense anything that's really breaking the lore. Probably the only real major thing here is the alleged controversy with the dwarf woman not having a beard. But beyond that, I don't sense any detail that destroys the lore. I did find it curious, however, that the infamous Black Hobbit, Lenny, nowhere to be found. So I guess they got the notes back on that one that he's not the most popular person in the fandom at the moment. And there's the intriguing final little bit with the hands. I have no idea what that means or what that signifies, at least not yet. And they have revealed the actor for Pharazôn. He's Tristan, but he's not here. A lot of mysteries, and I'm not sure why they held back. Probably would have been a better trailer if they just gave us one consistent narrative thread, even if it's Galadriel. That's about it. It does seem like it's going to be very Galadriel-centric, Galadriel-focused, and a little bit more visuals with the rest of the cast and crew. And that's about it. So, being completely open-minded, would I recommend this? Yes. If you're a diehard Tolkien person, you're probably going to spot a lot of the Easter eggs. But if you primarily just and really like the Jackson films, I can see why you don't like this, because this part of the lore is just not very familiar to people. So it's unclear where the hostility is coming from. I guess they just wanted the Jackson films all over again. This doesn't look like the Jackson films, even though to me it does seem like actually they're mimicking the style. If you are a more hardcore fan, you're going to spot a lot of things and going to be speculating about where they're going to go with things. But still too early to tell, but it looks good. But again, something can look good and ultimately be not very well done. So we'll need a little bit more patience to judge. But there we are with the Amazon trailer. Thanks for listening.